I'll actually take it further. So I would postulate that absent men, and there was only women in society, society would be in free fall collapse within hours. Women do not and cannot, this is my claim, right? Even stronger than don't know how, but actually cannot maintain modern infrastructure. It's not even possible.
Why?
I'm okay with living in a mud-built hut.
Yeah, I don't even think that they could do that easily. It's because of the way that our bone structures are set, and then the way that we regulate our body temperature. So you would probably say, if you were to look at the scope of women who are in the workplace who make complaints a lot of times what they complain about is the temperature. And they say, well, in a gendered scope, this isn't really fair because we tend to wear dresses and men tend to, wear suits and this kind of thing, right? So we're always cold. And but the truth is that even if they were in the same attire that you were in, they could still regulate the temperature of their bodies better. Men are less prone to take damage just on the work site, right? Building things, crafting things are less likely to take damage because of their bone density. I do not think that you could juxtapose or in some way take women and then have them take over men's jobs collectively, even if you gave them the same knowledge that those men had and that they could actually physically accomplish those.
Why can't I use my big, smart woman brain to build a robot to do the physical work for me that I can't do? That's what I'm saying. As long as I have the tools, my brain can figure out any puzzle. I just need access to the tools. You're right. I can't lift hundreds of pounds. But I can build a robot that can lift hundreds of pounds because I'm smart enough to figure it out.
It's just...
Wait, what? Of all the lifting that occurs when it comes to like construction or infrastructure, what percentage of that is done by robots?
Well. So hang on.
I don't know. I don't build things. But if I chose to get interested, I'd learn.
Hang on a second. Let me get into this with you for just a second. You would agree that men right now don't like lifting heavy shit.
No, that's why we built. That's why wheels existed, because we learned that we can roll things on them.
Hang on,
it's a tool.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Why aren't they building then big, massive robots to do all this heavy lifting for them for things like roofing and things?
Probably because it gives them job security.
They have cranes.
They would still have job security.
Would they have job security if women were building the robots and didn't need men?
It's a matter of possibility.
I mean, I haven't answered the question yet. I don't think that, I think the world needs men and women. Obviously, we can't reproduce without sperm. I want to have a baby and I need a sperm donor to do so. Like, I'm not saying that I want a world eradicated of men.
Okay, we're going to assume that you have enough sperm on ice to repopulate with women only for 200 years.
Then, yeah, I don't think we need men.
Then it wouldn't be.
If sperm was off the table, I think that I respect the fact that a lot of women love men and want them in their life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I just have one last follow up on this, and then I'll let it go.
Yeah.
What is a solenoid?
I don't know.
Hang on. A solenoid. What is a solenoid? What is a solenoid? What is a solenoid? Solenoid? What is a solenoid? Solenoid?
I've heard my boyfriend say this, but I don't know.
Okay. Inside of your car, there's a battery. What voltage is it?
12.
What?
I'm sorry.
Bro.
I'm sorry.
I don't know anyway.
Okay.
12. I don't know. I wouldn't have known anyway.
So, last thing, right? Can you just tell me the steps of changing a tire?
Take off the lug nuts.
With?
A torque wrench.
A torque wrench, okay.
Take the lug nuts off.
Mm-hmm.
Get the tire off. Make sure your brake pads, everything is all good.
Mm-hmm.
Put the tire back on. Make sure you screw them all on.
What she said. I don't know. I haven't changed tire.
She forgot that you need to.
Forget what she forgot. Just tell me what it is.
Okay, so you have to raise the car up on whatever side the tire's on, and then take the bolts off, take the tire off, put the new tire on, put the bolts back on, and then lower it down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I could watch it on YouTube and learn in 5 minutes if I didn't.
I've done it.
So yeah, I believe you. I trust you over. Yeah.
Hey, I've never pretended this whole time. I'd love for a guy to change my tire. In fact, I think they should know how.
Do you know how to change a tire?
I personally don't even have a car, so I wouldn't know. But I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll read the owner's manual and do what it tells me to do, like I did when I had to do it.
Now, this last question, completely non-gendered. So you can't use the gendered norm expectation for it. Very simple question. How would you go about sharpening a knife?
How would I go about sharpening a knife? You find it's a specific kind of stone that you can rub against the knife to sharpen it.
Okay.
I don't know the specific
How would you
stone.
go about sharpening a knife?
I would buy a knife sharpener.
That's what I was gonna
It's
say.
just like assuming we have no tools, or just like I have
Yeah,
a knife
how would
and
you
I
go
need
about
to sharpen
sharpening
it.
a knife? Yeah.
I mean, you use like a whetstone, right?
And then what do you do with it?
Sharpen it with the grain.
Okay.
Yeah, either buy a knife sharpener or use a whetstone and
How would you sharpen a knife on a whetstone? Walk me through it.
literally, like pretend that my fist is a stone and this is holding a knife. Keep doing that
At
and-
an angle.
At an angle, yeah. I don't know the actual terminology.
Do you
but
know what angle?
I can visually kind of figure out the angle
Not
through
completely.
practice.
So if you
but
can
I don't know it
visually,
off the top of my
if you
head.
can visually think of it. So if I asked you to visually think of a 90-degree angle, can you give me a 90-degree angle with your hand?
Yeah, 90-degree angles.
Okay,
like,
so then
wow.
you can visualize the angle. So what angle would you sharpen a knife at?
Whatever angle showed me results. I'd keep trying until I figure it out.
Sharpen a knife.
Man, I'm going with the sharpener technology, dude. Why
Sharpen a knife.
Definitely use a sharpener.
How? How would you sharpen it on a sharpener, a whetstone?
Same as they said, at an angle.
What
See, test
angle?
it out. For the side, I'd use each side first and then like see which works.
45-degree angle?
Okay, and then did anybody miss a step with the whetstone? It's called a whetstone.
Getting it what?
Wet it.
Okay, and that's it. Those are the only questions that I had.
Okay. So I just want to hop in and say that look, I've said it from the beginning, I love men. Men and women are the yin and the yang.
Yeah,
We
but
need
she was
each
going to
other.
get an axe and build a boat and go to an
I know
island.
she was having a castaway Tom
Right?
Hanks moment,
Yeah.
yes. But I think it's completely ignorant to act like without men, women would just completely fail as a society. So many successful men acknowledge women and men, we have different strengths. I bring women into my business for this. They think in a way I don't. I think in a way they don't. You know, I had Dave Portnoy on my show, funny enough, when he was you mentioned your boyfriend with the Me Too thing. At the height of his Me Too scandal, when he was getting hit pieces on him, the whole thing. And he's like, am I a misogynist? I brought in a female CEO. It was the best decision I ever made to run Barstool because she was the best at the job.
You mean a media company?
What is the difference? Like, he has more power than
I mean,
the
it
show.
has nothing to do with survival or infrastructure.
He's talking. It is infrastructure. He's talking about. He
Barstool
said.
Sports is an infrastructure company.
He's talking. He said if men were eradicated, civilization run by women would decline.
I mean,
We're not
it's just
talking.
like-
We're not talking procreation. We're talking how things are run.
Yeah, yeah.
You're saying, are you?
What?
Are you
If
primarily
women
talking
can
about
keep
the
a home
physical-
running, they can't keep a community
You keep
running
a
in
home
some
running.
sense.
You keep a home running with electricity. No, I mean
Wait,
you shake your head, but do you keep a home running with electricity?
Not to,
Am I
A
gonna-
modern
but
day
even
home.
on an emotional level, like how many of you guys have experienced grandparents who have passed away when the grandmother passes away first and the men fall apart? They cannot survive. Like
that
men
has
need women.
nothing to do.
Yes,
so
it does.
If we're talking
Brian.
about
He
survival,
said it's survival. He's
no, hold
talking
on.
about okay.
Yes, the men would be sad if all the women disappeared.
I'm
It's
going
not
to
that
say
they would be sad.
50%.
They wouldn't even be.
I'm
we
going to
need
say
each other.
50%.
He's saying if women are if men were eradicated, the women would just totally their civilization would.
Yes,
just,
it
Yes.
would. It would crumble.
collapse, yeah.
It would crumble.
But the same is in reverse.
No,
Nope.
no. It would suck for men. Men would be very upset.
That's just
but because
dominating,
men
right?
occupy these positions of when it comes to critical infrastructure, yeah, it would be terrible for men too.
Women engineers
There would be
don't
problems.
exist?
Huh?
Women
Almost
engineers
none.
and
Almost none in critical infrastructure jobs exist. Yeah.
So here,
Maybe that's because of the
And
way
look,
the patriarchy is created.
Like,
okay,
There's not- wait, there's some-
Hang on,
Well,
I
exactly.
see truth
We're
in what you're
finding a
saying,
chance.
in that women may be naturally inclined to be in other sectors of work than men, right? Whether it be science or tech or whatever, that may be more male, but male dominant. But that's just idiotic to act like.
Saying
Huh?
saying that it's idiotic, again,
But it is.
It doesn't. That's not an argument, though. An argument. So if you wanted to argue
you could also
this,
argue men are aggressive. They're naturally, fighters. You could also argue they take each other all the fuck out.
I don't think you could argue that because we could do it now, and women couldn't stop it.
I want to see a female roughneck.
I mean, so you wouldn't disagree, right? That if men collectively decided to take each other and women out, there's not anything women could do about that, right?
I disagree. I think women could stop that. Yes.
Doing what? What could they do if men decided to do that? What
I
could
think
women do about it?
generally, I talk about the gender differences, right? Men are physical. Women and men who are strong and confident men will admit women are
Private
verbal, we're manipulative, we're cunning in a different way mentally.
Yeah, but you're
where
changing
men
the
act.
scenario, so let me try
I'm
it
not
again.
changing the scenario.
If men
Women would use their minds.
collectively decided to
women
do
would
this.
use their verbal ability, their manipulation, their whatever it is, to stop it.
And
it's
men,
not
let's
hard,
say men
dude.
ignored all that. What could women do about it?
But that's predicated on men would ignore all that.
That's right. It's a hypothetical, which is predicated upon the conditional that they decided to do X thing. What could women do about it?
Run away. Like that's pretty much it. I mean, we could think,
You're
but
missing
we
my
could build
point.
together and then
Everyone
fight
has access
back.
to
Like I
weapons.
don't.
We could build a woman army. All we need is the technology. We don't need the bronze. We just need the tools, Queen. Like we could all join together and have our own guns, and I
But
could protect my home and my family from anyone.
On the daily influenced by women and what women think, how
I
they
agree.
dress, how they act.
Sure.
So you're telling me if women are saying a certain thing, they're just going to be like, "Bye, bitch," and ignore them, except for maybe some of the.
Well, I don't know. Have you
Neanderthals
ever?
in your comments. The dudes who watch my show, by the
do
way,
you
are fucking
agree
awesome.
right this second that there is a huge swath of planet Earth where men not only dismiss what women say, but say, "Shut the fuck up and put on this hat, or else." Do you agree or disagree with that?
Say that again.
That there's a large swath of this planet we currently live in, and cultures where they go, "Shut the fuck up! I don't care about your opinion. Now put on this little hat, or else."
Of course. And how is that working out for them?
Fine.
I talked about Iran. Is it fine?
Yeah, well,
You think they?
what I'm asking you
you
is,
want to go to Iran? For
what
a
I'm
day? Like,
asking
think
you
that's fine?
isn't.
Come on.
What I'm asking you is, if men collectively, which they right this second do, not in hypothetical land, right this second they
Not
go,
in hypothetical land.
all of you are second-class citizens, like they do right now in large swaths of planet Earth. What can women do about that?
Get rid of as many of them as you can before they get
Let her answer.
you. Okay.
What can women do about that if men
Fight
collectively?
against it.
How?
Do you want us to say that we can't do anything and like want
Is that gonna make
No,
it
I
better?
just want an
They
argument.
can fight however the fuck, kick, scream, tear, whatever the fuck. Don't.
Well, I don't understand. Why aren't the women over there doing that then? Fight kicking and tearing.
We fight back and we get murdered.
Right. So,
he's saying.
because
But if
this
enough of us-
conceptualization that you have is on what's called force doctrine or force equalization. And there's no such thing. It's an illusion which is created in modernity. And women have forgotten force doctrine. I think they haven't. But most women have forgotten force doctrine and that men have a monopoly on force. And collectively, if men decide that women have no rights, they don't.
And you agree that's right.
I didn't say
It's just
I
true.
didn't
You're
say
supposed
it's
to be a
right. Hang on,
biblical
hang on.
guy.
When did I make the case it was right?
Whoever
When did I
decided
make
men-
the case it was right?
Whoever decided that men were superior to
Stop.
women?
Stop.
He's
That
just
is-
saying
I
that we
need
would.
you-
It would.
I need
be
you to
happen.
engage with
and
what I'm
that's
saying.
terrifying, but it's true. He's right that it
Did
would.
I
happen.
say that it should be that way?
Yeah.
Why are you defending it?
Did
so
I
fiercely?
say it should be that way? Answer my question.
Yes, you believe in the patriarchy.
Did I
and you
say
es-
that
you
means that
essentially-
means that women have to be second class? Did I say any of that? No, you just made all of that up.
I
What I
didn't make it
said
up,
is
you guys.
this specifically. If men is, not ought, two different things. Is true versus ought should. I'm not saying should happen. I'm asking the question, is it true that if men collectively say tomorrow women have no more rights, that they don't? Is it true or isn't it?
Unfortunately,
It's not
yeah.
true.
Okay, so then what could
That is
women
such
actually do
bullshit.
about it?
What I just said.
Then how come in the nations where that is descriptively true now, they don't and can't?
It's not
They're
that
fearful.
They can, it's they're
Exactly.
afraid to.
They absolutely could.
Afraid
They're
to-
out there. They
why?
protest.
Because of what men could do to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Because of
Who, by
force,
the way, are the ones caught in brothels. and
because
doing all
of
kinds
force.
shit. But women have to be dressed.
But you're
head
making
to
my
toe,
point
okay?
because of force doctrine. So they're terrified.
I'm Persian Army.
They're terrified due to force doctrine. They're terrified that men can use overwhelming force to hurt them if they don't comply. Right.
I, again, have never pretended like men aren't bigger and stronger biologically.
But this is
than
my
women.
whole point.
Like,
is,
science
so that I don't know what you're arguing, that if men collectively decided then that they did want to take all rights from women, that women really couldn't do much about that.
Well, why do you want us to
They can
admit
take
that
those
so
rights
bad?
away, but
that's what I'm
not
wondering.
gonna
Because-
I'm not saying
prevent a
women
reaction.
go.
Okay.
I'll explain.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think that the best state for a human being to be in is absent the state of delusion. Absent the state of delusion. And so when I hear people say things which clearly make no sense and are delusional, right, I will usually walk them through a thought exercise so that they can determine this core thing that I believe is built on a house of cards and is bullshit. This is how you change people's minds and how you change their worldview, by attacking the pillars in which their false beliefs are built. In this case, tons and tons of women in modernity do not want to acknowledge the difference in force doctrine, instead banking towards things that they don't even understand, like basic technology, solenoids, car volt battery. I mean, this is like really basic stuff. And most women in modernity don't know it because they don't have to know it. But
wasn't
even
taught
were
it
we to
either.
take all of the collective information of men somehow and transfer it into the brains of women, now they know everything men know, right? To the letter, everything that men know. If men collectively, due to force doctrine, still decided that women would be second class to men, I still don't really know what women could do about that.
I kind of do, but I want you to talk.
I
Sorry.
just guess we won't know until if that were to potentially happen.
But it's happening now.
No, I know, but I'm saying in America, if we're talking about America specifically.
Yeah, but I
like
mean,
if
okay.
this were, but I know that you're saying it's already happening.
It's already, well,
And I
it's
know-
the
Make an
case now.
army
And
fight. If
No,
you
I know, but
if
that's
it's
what we're saying. Is
sacrifice.
that's the only option is to fight back or die. So it's confusing. I'm just wondering what's your point, because
Fight back or die,
I
yeah.
agree with you that if men decided right now, then yeah, I would have no.
Right.
Unless we all rose up, but even in that,
Even in
we
that,
don't know.
yeah.
But what's the point? Like, why do you want women to authenticate that or validate that?
Well, I
so
want to
much?
make sure that we're not living in a state of delusion where what's going on is that men are being taken for granted because women are living under a false belief that they can do what men can do. This is just one example of many where it's very clear that they cannot. And it's also a great example of the benevolence of men towards women, considering that they can do this, acknowledged by you, but don't.
I will validate. I totally agree that there are things in society that men, and I said this again, traditional gender norms, there are things I love. There are things I love about newer standards, whatever it is, the fusion of both, great. That's why I love, like I said, if I'm walking down the street, I love when my boyfriend is chivalry, right? He's protecting me so a car doesn't hit me. If someone breaks into my apartment, you bet your ass I'm going to want him there. Again, I'm not going to pretend to fight off some bear,
Yeah.
right? Whatever it is. But at the same time, my hope and what I advocate for is for men, you say I don't want them to feel taken advantage of or shit on, right? For lack of a better word. I agree. However, I think that we really need to instill in men, and I feel like this is something everybody on this panel can and should agree on, to be good men, to be respectful, respect themselves, respect women, be strong and have dignity. Bill Maher just did a great
That's
segment
perfect.
on
That's
this.
the core of my argument.
Bill Maher just did a great segment on this, right? Where he's more jokey, but he's like, dudes, like, get out of your mom's basement.
Nope.
It's like, stop jerking off.
So
like,
this
put,
is,
you know,
I don't care
ask
what
the woman out.
liberal,
Be
I don't care what dumb liberal Bill Maher said, but I'm going to go right
get what
against
I'm
your
saying,
argument
it's
because
true.
you got to the core of it. Now we're right at the core of the issue, right? My argument is saying men are already good and they're already benevolent.
How do you explain the comments in
Stop. Let me finish my argument, then respond. I just let you
That's
give
fair.
yours.
That's fair. That's fair.
My argument is they're already good and they're already benevolent because they already can do this and they don't. They don't do it and they can, but they don't.
So why don't they?
They
Because it
don't-
seems like we are on the same
They
page. about
don't
this in a
do it
way.
for a specific reason. And this is because men value ontologically human life male and female. They value both sets of it. They also value the feelings of children. They value the feelings of women. They value the feelings of other men. They're not evil, in other words. They're not ontologically evil. And they don't believe women are ontologically evil.
Right.
That's why they, generally speaking, even in these societies which you would consider megala oppressive, when you talk to a lot of the women who are in those societies, they don't think that they're oppressed.
Well, they're brainwashed, but that's a different story.
Well,
They're
but they would
indoctrinated.
argue the opposite. They'd
I know
say,
they would. I've
they'd
had
say,
conversations
wait,
with some.
you're
Yeah, I
fucking
know.
brainwashed,
Yeah.
right? This is
Yeah, of
great.
course.
I don't have to do shit.
Yep.
I'm treated like a princess.
Yeah, they exactly.
So
they don't
then
see it. Yeah.
the question becomes, if they're not doing
Suppression.
this, right? If they're not doing this, and they're not oppressing you, and they're not, but they could, doesn't that already lead you to believe that there's a benevolence in the patriarchy? Because if the roles were reversed, right? I'm not confident that women wouldn't say, we make the better choices, so you're all fucking second-class citizens. I'm not confident of that at all.
But we're generalizing here, right? Like there are
Yes.
good women, bad women, good
Okay.
men, bad men. And I think, you know, while I empathize with men, like I've said on this panel, like men have gotten shit on, so it's no wonder they're like, well, what the fuck? Like, I don't know what to do, you know what I mean? At the same time, it is like, dudes, like, well, don't buy into that. Step up and be a guy. Like,
They already
and at the end of the
stepped
day, a lot of men aren't
such a
dating,
different
having sex,
conversation.
going to college, being in the workforce.
Yeah, they don't want to
on
be
and on.
fucking degenerates. I know, it's terrible. Those
I
bastards.
do wanna, I will do one thing. We'll go
Military
back
as
to the
well,
whole
but-
like, what if all men disappeared thing. Nick, pull up a video really quick. Then somebody sent me in something that I want to read, and then we'll move on to the next topic. Go ahead.
I'm tired.
I'm pretty sure. Is it full screen? No, that's not what. Just can you bring it back to normal, please? Okay. Is there 1080p? Can you check if it's 1080? No, it's just right there.
Yeah, it's 7 twice the highest.
Okay, go ahead. So this is a man who is working on electrical lines. It might not even necessarily be electrical lines. It could be some sort of other utility lines. Women don't do these jobs. Women don't do these kind of jobs.
They can. They have 2 arms, 2 legs,
Well,
a brain.
It's possible, but they choose not to do it. So the current, like this kind of job, we can look at other sort of utility jobs, other sort of infrastructure jobs.
They don't, but if we had to.
I was just
But
gonna
here's the
say,
thing:
if a woman wanted to, she could.
if you guys had years, and Andrew actually even disagrees with this, but I'll just grant, even if you had years and years to, put enough women into these positions, you could learn how to do it, etc. But the thing is, if in a scenario where snap, it wasn't expected, all men disappeared, yes,
Oh
in
my God,
that
we don't have
scenario.
power. Is that really the worst?
Oh my God, we don't have power. This is the degree. Do you realize how important electricity is?
Yes, it's not
Do
like
you-
people didn't live before
Right,
electricity.
but
Was
people
it
were
harder?
adapted.
Yeah.
People were adapted and acclimated to living without electricity. Do you think people with their pampered asses and modern comforts and conveniences will be able to adapt? But that's just one component of it. The electric grid goes out. That's probably one of the most massive things. But somebody actually, a viewer sent me this. It is a bit long-winded, but I'll just read it. I'm hoping you guys can pay attention to it. He actually describes a scenario, day 1, day 2, day 3, and I believe it ends there. It is a bit lengthy. I'm going to read it. So, at midnight, UTC, all men in the world disappear. Now, the absolute certainty that they're just gone, or actually, hold on. Yes, all men in the world disappear. A certain sense of celebration breaks out in Western cities as women celebrate the world without men. Bras are thrown to the sky in liberation, hair is let down, but it doesn't last long. Within about half a day, the power grid fails from lack of proper operation. 94% of operators are men. Thermal plants shut down without being fueled, causing cascading blackouts as protection devices disconnect sections of the network. By night, there's no electricity unless you have your own generator. Day 2, come next dawn, everyone has realized that no one will be supplying shops. 84% of truck drivers are men. Panic looting begins. With next to no law enforcement, 83% of police officers are men, there isn't even an attempt to impose order. And much violence takes place at this stage as women fight over vital goods. By that night, backup systems have failed and all utilities shut down completely. No water, no electricity, no gas, no telecommunications. Women will resort to lighting candles and building makeshift open pit fires for heating and cooking, leading inevitably to building blazes, which in the absence of almost all firefighters, 89% of which are men, they spread much further than they otherwise would. Day 3, the sun rises on an apocalyptic scenario. Fires that had started the previous evening are still raging across cities worldwide. The stink of smoke is compounded by rotting garbage and human waste, which, in the absence of water pressure, has been often just dumped outside of buildings. Millions of women by this point have already died. At this point, the entity that had begun the experiment, there's more, hold on. No, that's pretty much it.
So is everyone assuming that there is no, once all these men are gone, right, electrical grid, blah, 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 there's no one woman in the world where if all these women came together, there isn't one woman who may know how to work the fucking electrical grid, or there's one woman who could build a weapon.
There are women.
There's going to be hundreds of them.
Okay,
but there's not.
They can teach them.
But we need you.
But I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to give you a visual representation
need men because they know
utilizing these 2 pieces of popcorn. So, let us assume for a second that the amount of women who would be available to run these jobs using this piece of popcorn. Okay, you ready? That's how many.
One's better than none.
Okay, here's what it would look like with men who would be available. Okay? Now, do you see the distinction there? Do you see visually the distinction in how few you have versus how many are on the opposite side?
But
I'm just talking about physically capable.
No, that's fine. But you're arguing that it's impossible for us to survive without men.
Yes.
But if that one person can teach everyone else...
Teach everybody else to do what? I'm talking
about... Teach everybody else anything.
I'm sorry.
Do what they know.
Now,
like, why?
So you understand?
Why are you basing this on? This whole thing seems arbitrary. Women can figure it out.
Just let me finish, and I'm going to explain it. You have to stop talking, though.
Brain the size of
So this right here, right, this representation, this is representing women who are physically capable of doing that job. That doesn't represent knowledge. That represents physical capability, meaning the potential that if you're trained by another woman who does know, that you would even physically be able to do the job. That's what that represents. Now, how can we demonstrate that?
Is it impossible, though?
Yes. It's actually impossible. Yes. It would be impossible for the current...
That's your opinion.
Nope. I can demonstrate it. I mean, I am. But here's why it would be impossible. If that is the representation, this tiny representation of women who would even be physically capable of doing a job like we just saw, okay, then even if you had a woman who knew how to do all those jobs, who taught all the women who wanted to do those jobs that job, there wouldn't be enough who were physically capable to keep the infrastructure going. With men, that would not be a problem.
Well, with all that amount of men gone, it's less space you really need. So how much of it do you really need to keep going?
Do you think that if we cut the population of the United States in half to 150 million, that you still wouldn't need massive interstate infrastructure, the same that we have right now? Because we had 150 million people only about, I think, 60 years ago. So we've only gotten to 330 million due to mass migration to the tune of about 1 million a year.
Yeah, is there something you want to add?
Yeah. I live off the grid, right? I live off the grid, and I would be so screwed without my boyfriend. He hauls my water. I can't drive his diesel truck. I'd be screwed.
I can.
And it's just on a small example of just my homestead. Okay. He knows how to do everything. Everything. He's taught me how to set up my battery bank, but I couldn't do that without him. He has more information in his brain that he has come to learn because he was a mechanic, and that's just practical information that I no, not for me.
Okay.
For his livelihood.
No, I didn't mean for you, but for you, you're learning from a man. I'm choosing to learn from your boyfriend, and that's fine.
I'm lucky enough that he's teaching me because he's patient with my dumb ass.
But to think that the rest of us are stupid or incapable enough to not pick it up, or that we are so little that we, or minuscule in our values that we cannot live a day without a man, that's insane.
I don't think you could live a week without a man. Like all of the men in the world. Yeah. That'd be really impressive if you guys lasted a week.
By the way,
I'm so
we
sorry
need
for
each
you.
other.
We can just look.
Yes, but I personally don't need, like, I'm a lesbian. I don't want to
I'm
interact.
not talking about sex,
No, I know you're not. And that's what I'm saying. I totally get that. Like, but I think in general, we do need each other. And that's the whole point, is that we do. And that's okay. But I don't think that we're going to die without them. But I do understand. That's, again, that's how I feel and would hope they would be. But I don't know how it would be in real life.
But the
point is,
useless?
no, but I don't think we're useless. And that's the thing.
I didn't say that either.
No,
Wait.
I don't think you're
No,
saying
but
that.
both things are true. It's like you're acting like women are totally incapable, incompetent,
Hold
and
on.
our men
That's not what we're
useless,
saying.
and our
Hold on.
I
men
hear what you're
strong.
saying,
Look.
though. Physically,
Of course.
Like we
Nick,
hold
private
no
chat.
value
There's
without
three.
Women
Three new
figure
ones. Pull them
shit
up.
out.
So just really quick, who here drives a car? Okay.
Yep.
Who here lives in a building that has more than 2 floors?
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Anybody ever been?
Floors,
Anybody?
3 stories,
Anybody
but not
ever been in like a tall apartment building or lived in a tall apartment building? Okay. So just a couple of examples here, really quick. A few videos, then I'm gonna move it on. Promise. Nick, pull up the first one. You all drive cars which rely on oil. Mute it. Mute it. Okay. I mean, so men are willing to take this job, living on a oil platform, so that you have oil, so you can go drive to your porn shoot. Okay.
I'm sure there's some women who would love to go on that if they had the opportunity.
They do.
Porn that
They
men
do.
watching it
They
all too, by the
choose.
way.
They
but okay.
do now, but here's the thing. Like I can, like my friend who's a car mechanic, for example, right?
That both
So
of you
she did go to school to be a
Sure.
mechanic because she really is interested in cars. It just happens to be what she likes. First of all, we have to take in consideration that 50 years ago she couldn't have even done that. But second of all, now that she does have the opportunity, the whole time she was in school, she is a girl who's very feminine, so she has the nails and the hair, and that's what she likes as well. So like immediately from the get-go, she was the only woman in her class, and the men talked shit on her the whole time to the point that she felt so uncomfortable going to class that she chose a different
Men
career.
also talk shit towards
other
other
men.
On men, that is true.
Like that's how men communicate.
it's
But
just
so I do. I'm
obnoxious
going to move it on. I'm sorry. You
dictating
mentioned
what women can and
roughnecks.
can't
Yes.
do.
You mentioned roughnecks. Next one, Nick. Also comes to the oil that you guys need to run your cars.
Big, strong man.
So can you?
I love
this
men
is a
doing
bit of
manly things. I'm
Can
not
you
mad at it.
10 seconds forward?
Dangerous.
There's
I'm
like
not
a little
mad
thing.
at it.
No. There's a thing you can just click. Next. Hold on. I think it starts one more. So I don't know the man-woman breakdown when it comes to roughnecks who are, working on an oil derrick, whatever.
Zero.
It's mostly women. It's a dangerous job. They get tons of injuries, and it's extremely physically laborious. Last one. Now, this is to those of you who've been in a tall building or have lived in a tall building. This is iron workers, which is like 99% men. Mute it. All right.
But again, how
So-
men and women
10%
differ,
can't
like
save us.
men being naturally inclined to do physical.
You wouldn't have 10%.
Right, but women aren't willing, like women don't do these jobs.
Also, I mean, with like those oil jobs specifically, I will say like the dudes on those rigs get paid like really, really well.
Sure,
Like
and they should.
a lot of them, of course, they should. I agree. Like I 100% agree. They should be paid like very well. It's a very difficult
So
job.
is that why the wage gap exists? Because of
No, I
choice?
wasn't going to say anything about the wage gap. I'm just saying, like, a lot, like, my one friend has a friend that works in, like, construction and all that stuff. And, like, he chooses the job he has. He hates it, honestly, but he makes a lot of money doing it.
It's
And,
like
that's why
young
he
and
chooses
women
it.
tend to prioritize more of a work-life balance, and
Yeah.
women. I actually think women are smart for this. You will, instead of
thanks.
going to fucking North Dakota with a population of 1,000 people and like in the super cold, working a physically laborious and dangerous job, women will prioritize their own well-being and work-life balance. Men are much more likely to relocate. They're much more likely, if they do relocate, much more likely to relocate to less desirable climates, less desirable geographies. And I mean, there's plenty of reasons here.
I mean, you look at it like a primal level, Brian, right? Like even little boys are drawn to like trucks and like action figures, whereas little girls, dolls and whatever dress up, right? So again, I'm not negating that natural tendency, but at the same time, don't diminish what women can figure out and can do. Do you guys know who Riley Gaines is?
Yeah, I'm making.
She's an so I had her on my show. She's an NCAA champion. I don't know why this bugs Brian so much because I'm making a point, but she competed with a biological man.
So she swims.
That's right. At a highly competitive athlete. Just hang on. Just don't be a dick. Hang on.
What does this have to do with the job?
Because I'm talking about the physical, how demanding a physical task is, right? She's an athlete who trained her ass off, competed against a biological man, because it's all trans, whatever, which is why I don't advocate for that.
Energy donated $200.
And tight.
To the regarded feminist, Queen Elizabeth was an auto mechanic. The problem is, in the most egalitarian societies, women do not choose to do these jobs. It's biological, not societal. Woman would vanish.
This guy can't even spell woman right.
Yeah.
You can't say woman right.
I just did a woman.
Okay, so just look, I do have to move on, but you can. What's your Riley Gaines thing? What's the Riley Gaines thing?
So I was explaining it. Is a woman, highly competitive athlete, swimmer, right? Dedicated her life to it. Competed against a biological man, Leah Thomas, in the NCAA championship.
Okay.
And beat her, for all intents and purposes, by a fraction of a second. She's competing against a biological man who's, 6'3"?
There was a tennis match where that happened, too.
So the point is, women can step up to the task. I'm just saying, don't diminish what women are capable of.
You have a professional soccer team that got beat by a bunch of high schoolers.
I'm not saying every woman is athletically gifted. I'm just saying,
you're
acting like all women are dandelion fucking.
Wait. Okay, fine. I'll engage with the Riley Gaines thing. If Riley Gaines was swimming in the open division, which is the men's division, do you think she would have beat any of them?
I think she would give a lot of them a run for their money.
No.
The point is, she competed with a biological man.
Who was on?
He was one of the worst males. Sorry,
that's true. Leah Thomas.
Yeah.
This is why I want biological men out of women's sport.
This is a terrible
You're talking
argument.
about how demanding something is physically. You're showing all these men doing drills and shit, and I'm actually acknowledging your point of how men are naturally inclined. Like I said, little boys with trucks are naturally inclined to these
Riley
types
Gaines
of
would
things. And I said at
outswim
the
me and
same
Andrew.
time, exactly.
So
So I'm saying at the same time, don't diminish that all women aren't physically capable or whatever.
Some
kind
women
of
can
are.
do
You're
those
showing all
jobs.
of these
They
things, and you're
don't,
like, oh,
though.
women don't
But I need
do
you to
this, as
understand-
if we're all like
Just 'cause we
school
don't
teachers
doesn't
and.
mean
But I need you to understand what my.
Which is the whole reason
That's
what
what
the
I'm
argument is.
That's what
no,
I'm
it's not
saying.
what the
That
argument
doesn't mean
is.
that they inherently
Yes,
can't. That's
but,
all I'm saying.
But let me explain where the straw man is.
boy.
Here, where you're getting the argument that at least I'm making incorrect. I'm not diminishing that there's not some women who can do all of these jobs, all of them, who are more talented than many of the men who are in the field. Not diminishing that at all. I'm talking about a pool potential. So here's what this means. It means you and I agree that men are stronger than women, right? Mm-hmm. On average. Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yes.
so that means that weaker men than strong men, weaker women than strong women. If we took the pool potential, weaker men are still going to be stronger than weaker women, right? Weak men still stronger than weak women, right? Yes? So if that is true, yes, it has to be true.
I've seen some scrawny ass men.
It has
I
to
don't
be
know.
true. If the scale is men on average are stronger than women, then if you have weaker men, then on average they should scalably be stronger than weaker women. So if that is true, then what we have is we have a small pool, a smaller pool of women who would be actually physically able to do these jobs versus the pool of men. That's why it collapses. Not because I'm making fun of your capabilities and woman can't think and blah, 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 blah. I'm telling you specifically.
You kind of are. And that's just
I'm telling you
blocking
specifically,
whoever.
my logical argument is just simply that if the pool is so small that you cannot field enough people with enough strength to do the jobs, they're not going to get done because they physically can't. That's why.
I got to move it on. I do have to move it on. I do want an answer at least to the original question. Do you think we need men?
No.
Still? Okay, well, okay.
I mean, I still feel the same. Like
Just short answers if you can.
Okay, then let's just go with no for. Yes, for the larger. I don't know. I really don't. I feel
Okay.
confused about this.
I think every person should be valued equally, so yes.
I don't think we need men, but I want them around I want everyone around who wants to be around. But do I have a desire to build a car? I don't have personally that desire. However, if I was put in a situation where I had no choice, I feel 100% confident I could learn and figure it out on my own.
So the answer is you don't.
My answer is I don't need them, but I'd like to live in a world with diversity, and I'd like people that are different than me to exist and learn from them, but I don't need them to survive.
Okay. Do you need... That's interesting, but...
Make men great again, though.
Okay. Do you think we need men?
Yeah, I think they serve some purposes.
Yes, we need men.
They serve some. It's interesting. Like, I would just immediately say, yes, we need women.
But we're stupid.
No,
I can't do what you can
That's a
do.
straw man.
Their brains are breaking.
That's a solid straw man
we
argument.
need men,
Never
though.
said
That's
that.
what I mean. Like, it's hard for me because in my personal life, I know that you're talking about.
You can even ask me, like, if I like women, if I think women are great. My immediate
need
answer
them?
is yes.
Yeah.
But for women,
you're right,
it's
though.
But the way you guys talk,
Sure,
it's like
there's
women
some
are
bad-
great to
there's-
make me a sandwich. Like
that's
it's just,
not even what again
He's
another straw man.
nodding. It's giving
another
like
straw man.
Andrew
They are
Tate,
great for
Harrison
making
Butker.
sandwiches. What's wrong with that?
I can make a mean
will say
sandwich. You
make
know
a
what I'm
mean
saying?
So then what's the problem?
All
You know
right.
what I'm saying.
That's crazy. It's just crazy.
Wait, Brian,
All right.
what do you think? What do you think?
About what?
Well, what you were just saying, you're like, no one asked me, like, what's great about women? Do we need women? Like, do men need women?
Well, if you just asked me the question, do we need women? Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Do we need
But
like?
why?
But you guys are like, no, don't need men.
To procreate.
Hey, I didn't. I said we need men.
Is that the only reason you can think
you
of
mean
that's all we're good for?
You mean the highest?
Did I say that? Do you know what a
You
straw man
didn't
is?
say that,
Do you know what a
but
straw
that
man
is what you're applying.
Do you know what a straw man is?
If we're not good enough to do anything else that a man can do, right? If we
What?
can't, if we
Okay.
can't do anything that a man can do, all we're here for is to be
Didn't
a
say
baby
that.
maker for you.
Didn't even say that.
But
We
what
have
you guys
such
are
power.
implying.
Why do you
have
think
such
we need
powers they
women
don't
personally?
have,
Like,
and
what's your
they
like?
know
What do you
that.
need to survive with women besides?
Well, here's the thing. I
ability
mean,
to
my
reproduce?
position. procreation.
Right,
Certainly.
but, that aside, 'cause you
To
told me that it
survive,
wasn't part of my
to
argument,
propagate.
procreation,
Is it
so.
wrong for me to want to propagate the species? Hello.
No, that's
So-
why I said I
but-
need men
but
for
for
sperm donor. But if we're
survival,
taking if we're taking reproductive out of it, just like if a society could function without women, do you think you need women to function as a society?
Yes, and I'll give
why?
you.
What do
yes,
women
I'll give you an
contribute in your eyes?
explanation. Because I think that boys and girls both need their mother, and that there's an ontology which exists for women, their state of being, the feminine, and the masculine are both required to formulate good human beings.
That's
I
facts.
do not believe that you are going to have a society of good human beings unless you have the masculine and the feminine. I don't believe it. Right? So that's why I think you need both. And I think that the further you get away from the idea of the feminine in women and the masculine in men, the more fucked up people seem to get. So that's why I think we need women absent reproduction. But to answer to your reproduction argument, if all it was reproduction, and that was the highest value of women, what the fuck would be wrong with that?
Is being
That's
a
an
mother
amazing.
and a caretaker not hand in hand with reproduction?
Well, no. You can be a caretaker and not reproduce at all. What are you talking about?
You said boys and girls need their mothers.
I got to move.
Yeah,
on.
but I'm sorry.
Brian,
Can
go
you
ahead.
can you adopt?
Yeah, sure.
So,
you can
Annie, would
adopt.
you
Is
be
everyone gonna
would you
adopt?
be a
Is that-
mother? Well, you asked if they're necessary conditions to each other. They're not. You can be a caretaker for children and not have reproduce those
right,
children.
sure.
So if that is true, you still need the masculine and the feminine. I think that that's a requirement. But I still think also, to address your argument of reproduction, do you think I'm just a baby factory? That's like the highest value that men have for women and that women usually have for other women. It's gone away in society, but it used to be glorified motherhood. Matrons in society who gave birth used to be glorified, not looked at as by other women as, sweetheart, you really could have been a scientist. So hey, let me ask you this. If our smartest women, if you want to waste them in factories, and you want to waste them in cubicles, and you want to waste them working, why wouldn't you want the smartest women in society to be having children
Why can't they do
who are
both?
really fucking smart?
Exactly.
Why
women
can't
are
they do
so
both?
Because I'll tell you why. Because in order to hit this status, the elite status for women, they have to go to college. In order to do that, they waste the entirety of their 20s. They're not getting married till 30, so they have one fucking kid, if they have any. That's why you have a reproduction crisis. So if they're not starting early, they're not having very many children. So it's as we have run this experiment, here's what we found. They're not having them. So no, they can't do both because you can only draw attention.
I do both.
You can only draw attention so far, right? You're not the look. No offense,
Yeah.
You're not a fucking top-level scientist. You're a porn star. Yes, you can do both, but when you're talking about the best and the brightest...
Do you think I hold any value as a
you
porn
think the
star?
best... What I'm saying is that the best and brightest inside of society who are females, yes, I want them reproducing the best and brightest children.
Do you think just because I'm a porn star I can't do other things?
I know. There are girls.
What does that have to do with anything that I just said?
You just said, no offense, you're a porn star.
Yeah, so?
Does that mean I'm not... I don't have the brains.
I'm not okay. So I'm just gonna be totally honest with you.
That was what he
I really, really, really do not associate I do porn with high IQ. Not gonna lie.
And that's your personal wrong opinion. That's fine.
I really
I
don't
graduated
associate
Dean's
the two.
List and honor roll. So
That's society's boxes that are in your head. It's sad.
Yeah,
that's your own personal prejudice against women
sad,
who
dude.
embrace themselves.
No, what does that have to do with women?
Perfectly fine.
What is that? I said
What
porn
about
star.
Melania Trump?
Hang on. Did I say women or did I say corn star?
Am I not a woman?
And
porn star?
are men not corn stars?
Yeah.
Okay, then what is that? I said that I don't associate high IQ with corn stars. You said, oh, so you don't like women corn stars? You think they have low IQ?
You guys can
I think
generalize
all
and
corn
shit, but we
stars.
can't.
I think all corn stars, male and female,
Okay.
I would associate with
Aren't
having low IQs.
I would associate narcissistic bigots with having low IQs, personally.
So then you should stop being a narcissistic bigot.
That's not me.
Are you sure?
Positive.
I don't know. You've gone
I
out of
know,
your way.
your audience is kind of biased, so we definitely can't ask them. But I'm pretty sure if we asked the majority of everyone else, they would probably agree.
That I'm narcissistic for giving you facts?
No, that you're narcissistic for sitting here trying to tear people down and gaslight them into
What did I gaslight you into?
fumbling and fucking up their answer to hope you get the reaction you want out of them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were super high IQ. Shouldn't people not be able to do that to your super high IQ self?
You're not.
Oh, I don't know. You've been fumbling the entire night.
I really haven't.
You really have. You literally told the entire audience that a person stealing a Snickers bar potentially could have the same trauma as an SA victim. And you think you haven't fumbled?
I did not say the same
You
trauma.
did.
I said
You better
I
rewind the
cannot
tape.
perceive how that trauma affects that person.
I know.
Moving on.
Yeah, let's move it on.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move it on.